Welcome to What Matters Most.
We are dedicated to educating the community about holistic, metaphysical, and spiritual topics.
Each week, we discuss things that matter most in life, the things that are most important to you that may have fallen to the wayside.
We are always centered on the idea of simplifying life, connecting with our neighbors, and following our true paths.
Our mission is to empower you to live the life that you've always dreamed of living.
We invite you to focus your life on what matters most. And we're back with What Matters Most, and we're here with Allison Baughman.
Allison, explain to me exactly how would I use numerology in selecting a career? What would be the process for doing that?
Well, I think the thing to do is to look at the chart, because no one is one number. But there's actually two numbers in a chart that are very telling about career. One is the day that you're born, because the day that you're born holds talents and abilities that you brought to help you out with what you're here to do. So it gives a little bit of an indication as to specialized talents and abilities, and also gives an indication of career. But the expression number, which comes from all the letters in your name, most people do that. That's what they do for a living, okay? Wow. So that's usually their career path is along the lines of expression. So depending on what number is your expression number, and also kind of adding in that additional information with the birthday number, you can really give some people some really good advice. Most often, I don't have to give them advice because they're most often doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're most often in a career path that really is in alignment with their energy.
Really? But Allison, here's a question. For someone like myself who was adopted, if you didn't have access to the name that was on your birth certificate, you might be, if I was going to someone like yourself, would I be giving you the wrong information if I was saying to you, oh, my maiden name was Maria Hopek. If I was saying, oh, Maria Hopek, and this is my date of birth, because I really maybe didn't have access to my birth certificate.
Sure. Well, a lot. You have no idea how much information just comes from your date of birth. So there's a lot of very accurate information that comes just from that information. Now, if you don't know what you were named or what your birth certificate says, absolutely, that's kind of like blinding that aspect. It's like not allowing us to see that. But you can also do a complete and total chart on your adopted name. And that is a vibration, because whatever we call ourselves is a vibration, and it will give you some additional information. So I don't think you're totally blinded because you don't have exactly what you need. I think you can get a lot of credible, very insightful information just from that.
I'm almost feeling like maybe it's comparable to like when you do astrology and maybe you didn't have the time of birth. So they pull all the information together and they use I don't know, like a standard time frame or something to kind of pull it together. It's not exact, but it's close. Getting there.
Sure. Sure.
So, and I guess
and I've done a lot of charts for people that didn't know or question things, and work with them in order to find the chart that resonates to them the most. So a numerologist will know what direction to take the questioning in based on whatever your problem is with your name and date of birth.
So I guess your name, the numbers, the letters in your name, I guess probably each letter represents a number, and that's how you pull it together?
Sure. Yeah, each letter is a number. So you're going to assign a number to each letter of the name, and there's of course calculations, and calculation sounds like such a big and ominous word, but basically it's adding and subtracting. So it's not a big deal. The calculations are not a big deal. A lot of people get put off by that, but it's really kind of easy. Understanding what it all means, that takes a certain amount of study.
The interpretation. So if I were to come to you for a numerology reading, other than bringing to you or giving you the name, the date of birth and my birth name, what other information would you need, and how long would that session take? Or would you have to get that prior to me coming there and then you pull it all together?
Usually I like to work with a person's chart by hand just before I do the reading, because as soon as I connect to the numbers, it's just like this river of information that starts flowing in my head.
Wow.
So I like to do it just before I'm doing a reading. And, it takes for me a full reading to impart to you all the information that your chart has say. It takes about an hour and a half. And trust me, I'm talking nonstop.
Wow.
But it really, it goes into every aspect, the past, the present, the future, talents and abilities, challenges. It gives a tremendous amount of advice. It is an extremely insightful tool, and that's basically how long it takes me to get through someone's chart.
Wow. And I know you had mentioned that there's something with bank account numbers. Can you tell us about how we can use our bank account number to our advantage? Because I don't think most people know this at all.
Yeah.
Well, if you understand the energy of the numbers, they each have a vibration. So let's say, and when we're talking about your banking account number, you got to get rid of all the information that belongs to the bank. You just have to look at the numbers that are very specific to your account.
Okay.
It's what identifies your account from everyone else's. And, you know, if you pick the right vibration, you can actually allow more money to flow into your account or have your account be more stable. Certainly you can help or hedge your bets with abundance. And the numbers that I most recommend are 8, 4, and 22. If you add up the digits of your account and it equals any of those numbers, you probably got a really good bank account number. If you've got a 3 or a 5, you've probably got a sieve you've got where money just flows in and out of that account. So you really want to make something more stable by giving it a better vibration. And people do not realize you can go in and talk to your bank and request to have your numbers add up to a 4, an 8, or a 22, and they will accommodate you.
Never knew that.
I mean, I didn't know that you could actually go in and make a request, and it sounds like they're pretty accommodating, which is pretty crazy. After we spoke, I ended up doing my bank account.
Did you?
It ends in an 8.
Oh my goodness.
I still wish it was doing a little bit better, but it's still good. I thought, well, at least the numbers are on my side.
Of those three numbers.
Numbers are on your side, yeah.
Hey, Allison, of those 3 numbers, 8, 4, and 22, which would be the best? Or it doesn't matter, they're all good.
Well, 8 and 22, I think, are better than 4, but it's like I say, those would be the ones that I would recommend.
Okay.
Like I have one account that's a 3. It's a 3 vibration, and all it is a temporary account that money flows into, and then I put it elsewhere. I always take it out and put it elsewhere.
Wow.
So it's kind of funny how it's a 3. So.
Oh.
That's interesting. So can you tell us about? I heard there might be something going on with 11/11, November 11th.
Oh yeah.
2011. I heard that there's, with the numbers, it seems interesting. Do you have any generalized insight that you can maybe give us about that date?
Okay. Well, a lot of people have been seeing 1111. Certainly, it's a very high vibrational number. It represents an open doorway to the spiritual realm. And, if you're talking about an open doorway, it means, messages that come. And historically, if you look at history, messages come on 11 days. You can go back to 9/11.
Yeah.
You can go back to Katrina. You can go back to the initial first crash of the stock market, which happened on the 29th of October in 1929. I mean, 11 is a date that generally we often could receive a message from above, something that is a message to humanity. So it could be on a personal level where you maybe get some messages or you feel as though you're connected to God's source. Or it could be on a global level, which means a message to humanity. But I think it's an extreme, highly vibrational element to that day, and it can mean multiple things. But it would be definitely a day that I would pay attention to. Absolutely.
Very interesting. So is there any kind of insight you can give us about 2012?
Yeah.
Since this is the omnibus. Date that everyone is looking forward to and everyone's thinking
Constantly in the media.
Right,
Yeah,
it's
always
constantly, either the world is going to end or we're going to go into the 17th dimension or whatever. So can you give us a little bit of insight about that?
Sure. Well, if you look at 2012, it adds up to a 5.
Oh.
When you understand the 5 energy, the 5 is about change.
Okay.
It's about also sudden, unexpected events. Sometimes it's change that we didn't actually want. It could be change that's just kind of thrust upon us. But it definitely is going to be a year where I think you're going to see a lot of events. I mean, things have been a little crazy already, so one can't even imagine that when you move into 2012, it's going to be even more chaotic. But I would expect a lot of change. The thing that I think about when I think about the number 5 is is people move in a 5 year. They change jobs in a 5 year. They change relationships in a 5 year. So I think in terms of like, for me, what keeps hitting me is maybe having to relocate, people having to relocate, people that live by the sea, or maybe there's some issues, with Mother Earth, and people literally have to relocate to a different area. And as I said, I could see the sudden unexpected events also. And a lot of this is scientifically based. There's a lot of things that are changing that you actually could get scientific proof of. So I do think we're going to have to jump through a few hoops in 2012. And I think this year is really showing us things that need changed. If we look at our government, we're not happy. Well, I can assure you, as we move into 2012, I think maybe people will take the initiative to make, kind of ask for the changes that we need so much on this planet. So I think it'll be an interesting year. Do I think it's the end of the world? Well, I think that a high vibration has been affecting people very strongly since the year 2000, and we must move into and vibrate to those twos in the years 2000, and that's peace on earth, that's cooperation. It's not about big business, it's not about greed anymore, it's not about getting yours, it's about learning to live with each other. And there's no way to survive in the future unless you implement those things into your lives. And that's not just you and me, that's governments, that's all over the world.
Yeah.
So 2012 could be the change to bring in that which everyone talks about, a better time, a new age, the age of Aquarius, the age of love.
So do you think that it's going to carry out through the whole year, or do you think it's going to be like a big shebang on December 21st?
I think we're already in it.
Gotcha.
I think that we're already experiencing things. You have to be living under a rock not to look around and say, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely anticipate that if you think it's been interesting so far, you hold on for, I believe, August, September, October, November of this year, and moving into next year, because it is just going to get a little bit more bizarre. We are already in it. I don't think that something major is going to happen in 2012 on the 21st of December. I think it's already happening.
It's a transition.
So tell us, Allison, what matters most to you? What matters most to you on the large scale of the work that you're doing and how you're affecting people?
I think what matters most to me is being able to take my knowledge of numerology, wherever that knowledge came from, because I really like to think of it as being a divine gift. And I think what matters most to me is to be able to use that to inspire people to love themselves just a little bit more, inspire them to lead happier, healthier, and more purposeful lives. And really that's the whole purpose of why I do what I do, is to just try to help people.
And Allison, I know that you publish a monthly newsletter where you actually give people their information about their personal year forecast.
The forecast.
In addition to, I think, happenings that are going to be occurring on the planet. I know you mentioned that.
Sure. Yes, visiblebynumbers.com, you can subscribe for it.
Okay.
And it comes with monthly forecasts, so month to month what kind of energy you're using. And certainly, it'll tell you articles. And if you're interested in 2012 and what I think is going to come up, that'll be published, some very specific things, especially in November. So, visiblebynumbers.com, just look for the subscribe box.
Allison, let me ask you, because I was looking on your website, do you have an archive of your newsletters, or you really need to, because I was trying to go back and see if I could get some previous information.
I think that they only archive the prior month. So if there's a specific something that you want, you can always email me and I'll get it to you.
Great,
Wonderful.
thank you.
Okay.
Well, we'd like to thank our listeners and our viewers again for watching What Matters Most. And as we conclude this show, we would like to remind everyone that the simple things in life are what matters most. Namaste, and thank you, Allison.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.